Today I will discuss law of returns. Law of return is related to short run and long run production function. I mean to say today's topic is law of returns. So first question, what is law of return? What is the meaning of law of return? Production of a commodity is the result of combined efforts of various factors of production. These factors of production can be classified as fixed factors and variable factors. To increase the quantity of production, quality of the factor of production will have to be increased. But the increase in production in response to a given increase in the factor of production is not always same. Okay? Is not always same. Such behavior of production is explained by the laws of return. I mean to say, in production time period plays an important role. The input factor can be changed with reference to the time factor. For the analysis of production, we consider the time factor. Time factor means it can be short run and long run both. Short run and long run, the production laws are also influenced by the time factor. So, if short run and long run both are the part of law of returns, which I have covered in this video. So, first of all, I want to say that I want to clear that what is the difference between short run and long run. Okay. So, what is short run? It is the time period in which a producer can increase or decrease some of his input factors while other remaining constant. The factor input that can be changed are raw material and labor. Other factor will remain constant. Therefore, the output or return on factors is directly proportionate to variable factor. Thus, the law applicable in short run is called the law of return to factor. Short run doesn't confine to any particular period of time limit, but it is the time to be taken by the producer just to change the variable factor in order to increase or decrease the output. Okay. I am saying under short run the scale of production is not changed. The capacity of the plant and machinery remain constant, but only current level of production can be increased up to the capacity limit by employing more and more unit of labor. Thus, in economics, short run plays an important role. So, next question is, what is long run and how we can differ long run production to short run production? Long run refers to that period of time when a producer can change all his factor inputs, but in a fixed proportion. Unlikely to the short run, in long run, there is no constant regarding change the factor inputs. I mean to say, in long run, a producer can increase or decrease any of the factor input in order to increase or decrease his output. So, in long run, the scale of production is also changeable. The law that applies in long run is called the law of return to scale. Please listen carefully. This is a very important point. Short run law of return is law of return to factor. Short run production is also known as law of return to factor, but long run law of return to scale. It is based on scale. Although the all input factor are changeable in long run, but they will be in fixed ratio. Therefore, the ratio between input remain constant, and the law is called law of constant proportion. Okay? Law of constant proportion. So now I am going to explain short run production function in detail. As we have seen in short run, a producer can change only his variable input in order to change the output. Hence, the production law applicable in this period is the law of return to factor. Under this law, some of the factor inputs remain constant while others keep changing, and thus the ratio between these factor inputs is variable. Therefore, the law is called the law of variable proportion. Okay, so now I am going to discuss assumptions of the law. Assumptions of the law. The following assumptions are there for the application of law of variable proportion. Like all the units of variable factor inputs are homogeneous. I mean to say only one factor is made variable and other factors are kept constant. Second assumption is this law doesn't apply in case all factors are proportionately varied, where the factors must be used in rigidly fixed proportion to yield a product. The variable factor units are homogeneous. For example, all the units of variable factor are of equal efficiency. Next assumption is input prices remain unchanged. Next one is the state of technology doesn't change or remain the same at a given point of time. And last assumption of law of short run is the entire operation is only for short run, as in the long run all inputs are variable. Okay, I mean to say, as we have seen that in short run all factor input are not changeable. So to increase or decrease output, a producer change only his one input, that is labor, other than the raw material. The law can be explained as in short run keeping other factor constant. When a producer employs more and more unit of his variable input, his total product, that means TP total product will increase first in increasing rate, then it will increase at diminishing rate, and reaching at the maximum level it start declining. So I am going to explain this concept. Okay, so short run law of return, which I have discussed before, the behavior of the output when the varying quantity of one factor is combined with a fixed quantity of the other can be divided into three stages. Okay, stages of law of variable proportion. Short run production function with law is also known as stages of law of variable proportion, is divided into three stages. Stage 1, increasing return stage. Stage 2, decreasing return stage. Decreasing return stage is also known as diminishing return. Diminishing and decreasing both has same meaning. Okay, and third one is negative return stage. And short run production function based on factor, not a scale, because long run production function based on a scale. Okay, so we can say that increasing return to factor, diminishing return to factor, and negative return to factor. So I am going to discuss all three stages step by step. Okay, this is the overall view of all the three stages, and you can see in this slide graph and table also. I mean to say, with the help of graph and table we can better understand. So I want to zoom. Okay. Okay, listen carefully and try to understand this concept. I have discussed before three stages of law of variable proportion. First, increasing return to factor. Second, diminishing return to factor. And third one is negative return factor. And you can see this concept in this figure and graph also. You can see fixed inputs, variable inputs, and behalf of fixed inputs and variable inputs, TP, total product, MP, marginal product, AP, average product are shown in this table. And you can see that in this table fixed factor, fixed inputs are same in every stage. Each stage 4 fixed input has taken before starting the business, before starting the operation. And when as a producer we got the success, last point fixed input will be same. I mean to say, someone produced any product and delivered any type of services, fixed factor in short run always same, but variable factors varies as per production. And behalf of fixed inputs and variable inputs, first stage so increasing, second stage increasing at a diminishing rate, and third stage, last two slides, negative return. Okay, so now I am going to present stage 1. You can see the figure and graph also, and now I will explain the concept in detail. Stage 1, increasing return to factor. In the first stage, when a producer employs more and more unit of variable factor inputs, like a labor. Labor is the variable factor. Keeping other input constant, his total product will increase in the first stage. In increasing rate, total product will increase in increasing rate, and marginal product will also increase at increasing rate. This stage is called the stage of increasing return to factor, because in the beginning, when the variable factor inputs are increased, they make favorable combination with the fixed factor and help to produce the output in an increasing rate. This basically happens because of good factor ratio, application of internal economies, individually of the factor, etc. The phenomena of increasing marginal product helps the producer to decrease the average cost of production. Thus, this stage has a special impact in the production process. Okay, second stage, diminishing return to factor. I mean to say increasing at a diminishing rate, not diminishing, increasing. Second stage also increasing all the factors, all the output, but diminishing rate. I mean to say this is the second stage of the law. As the producer keeps employing more and more units of variable inputs. Okay, I am saying as a producer keeps employing more and more units of variable inputs to increase his total output. After a certain level of total production will start increasing at diminishing rate, while the marginal product, I mean to say MP, will go on diminishing. I mean to say in short run, a producer can change only his variable factor, and thus the ratio between fixed and variable factor keep changing. In the beginning, the ratio are favorable and produces positive impact, but these impact don't carry on continuously and MP start diminishing. Same time the total product increase, but in diminishing rate. I am not saying diminishing rate. I am saying total product increase but in diminishing rate. This is called the stage of diminishing return to factor. If someone is discussing a stage of diminishing return to factor, that's mean short run production function. This happens due to unfavorable factor ratio and individual constant of factor inputs. Okay, in this stage, the total output will go on increasing till it before, I mean to say, in this stage, the TP will go on increasing till it becomes maximum, while marginal product touches 0. Now, I come last stage, third stage, negative return to factor. What is the reason behind this? That is, in the second stage, we have seen that the TP reaches its optimum level and MP touches x-axis or become 0. Beyond this level, if the producer further employs any unit of inputs, MP will become negative. You should stop the production when you become 0. But after that, you are doing production. That means MP will become negative and TP will decline. This is called the stage of negative return to factor. This happens due to unfavorable factor ratio and operation of diseconomies. You can see a stage of increasing return, decreasing return, second stage, when as the producer keeps employing more and more units of variable input to increase his total product. After a certain level, the TP will start increasing at diminishing rate, and while the MP will go on diminishing. In short run, a producer can change only his variable factor, thus the ratio between fixed and variable factor keep changing. And I will discuss this concept, but I have discussed all the stages. First, increasing return to factor, second, diminishing return to factor, and last one, negative return to factor. Negative return to factor, last stage of production process, where TP reaches its optimum level MP touches x-axis and becomes 0. Beyond this level, if the producer further employs any unit of input, MP will become negative. Total product will decline. This is called the stage of negative return to factor. You can see the table and graph. Okay, this table, just a minute. I will zoom this. Okay, it will be clear. Fixed inputs 1, 2, 3, 4. As a producer, I have taken 9 units of production. Please listen carefully and watch. I have taken 9 units of production, and all the 9 units have fixed input is 4, not changing. But variable inputs is changing as per production. 1, 2, 3, 4. Variable factor varies as per production, and fixed factor is same. Variable factor varies as per production, and behalf of fixed factor and variable factor, TP increases first stage and TP increase in second stage, but at diminishing rate. In the third stage, TP decreases. Okay, but when TP decreases, that means MP become negative. You can see in the first stage, marginal product increases. In the second stage, MP increases at diminishing rate, but third stage, MP, you can see this concept with the help of graph. Graph is also showing first stage TP increases. In the second stage, TP increases at diminishing rate, but in the third stage, TP decline. Okay, I think now I will discuss long run production function. Long run production function is also known as return to scale. So far, we have seen the short run production law called the law of return to factor. In short run, a producer can change only one factor input, that is the labor, while the other input factor remaining constant. But in long run, expansion of output can be achieved by variation in the use of all factors, as all factors are variable. Thus, the law of return to scale can be defined as, in long run, when a producer employs more and more unit of factor input, keeping the ratio between them constant, his output first increases at increasing rate of return, then increases at constant return, and lastly increases at diminishing return of scale. I mean to say, we can say that there are three possibilities. We can say that 3 stages. Possibilities and stages are the same for explaining this concept. So, I mean to say there are 3 possibilities or stages that may take place when this law operation, these are. So, I mean to say there are 3 stages. First one, increasing return to scale. Second one, the constant return to scale. And third one, decreasing return to scale. understand the law more effectively, let us understand the 3 stages mentioned above. Okay, this is the first stage, increasing return to scale. You can see the table and graph also. Okay, for better understand, increasing return to scale, this is the first stage of law in long run. When a producer wants to increase his scale of production, he can change all his factor inputs, but in a constant proportion. In the beginning, when he employs more and more units of his factor input, the proportionate increase in his output is more than the proportionate increase in the output. This stage is called the stage of increasing return to scale. For example, if the amount of labor and capital increased by 10%, as a result, the output so produced increased by 15%. Clear? Amount of labor and capital increased by 10%. Result, output so produced increases by 15%, increasing rate. We say there is increasing return to scale because the proportionate increase in output is more than the proportionate increase in input. We can understand the stage with the following table. You can see this. Unit of capital, 2, 4, 6. Unit of labor, I mean to say fixed input and variable inputs. TP increases at increasing rate. I mean to say, in this table we can see that the producer has employed 2 units of capital and 10 units of labor. His total production is 100 units of output. When he increases his input factor by 100%, then his previous units, keeping ratio between them constant, his output increases by 150%. Further, when he increases his input by 50%, his output increases by 80%. This shows that there is an increasing return to scale. Now, I will discuss second stage, constant return to scale. This is the second possible stage of law of return to scale. Under this stage, when the producer keeping his factor proportion constant employs more and more units of input in a given proportion, his output will increase at the same proportion. So this stage is called constant return to scale. Okay, so for example, if the producer increases his labor and capital by 5%, his output also increase by 5%. You can see that 5% input increases, 5% output increases. That means constant return to scale. This will be called the constant return to scale because the change in input and output ratio is same. This can be understood by this table. We can see that when 2 unit and 10 unit of labor are employed, the output of 100 units. When the producer increases the input factor by 100%, keeping the ratio between them constant, his output is also increases by 100%. Further, when he increases his input by 50%, output is also increases by 50%. This shows the constant return to scale. Okay, now third stage, decreasing return to scale. This is the third stage, third possible stage of law of return to scale. Under this stage, the output will increase at lower rate. Then the rate of increasing input, when a producer employs more unit of his input in a given proportion, the increase in output will be lesser than the given proportion. For example, if the producer increases his input by 10%, but the output increases by 8% only, decreasing input 10% increases, output increases by 8%. The stage is said to be decreasing return to scale. This can also be explained with the help of table and diagram. You can see that. I mean to say, we can see that when the producer employs 2 units of capital and 10 units of labor, capital is fixed input and labor is variable input, his output is 100 units. Keeping the same proportion between the capital and labor, when he doubles his input and increases by 100%, output increases by 80%. Further, when input increases by 50%, the increasing output is less than 50%. This shows the stage of decreasing return to scale. As the proportionate change in output is lesser than proportionate change in input. Okay, so I will explain the concept, but I have discussed before all the 3 stages in long run production: law of return to scale, increasing return, first stage, constant return, second one, and last one, decreasing return to scale. Okay, I have completed short run, law of return to factor, and long run, law of return to scale. I have completed in this video. So now, thank you. Thank you everyone.